Welcome to First Issue Club, the weekly podcast where we cover first issues. As you can see, we're a little on edge. We have a situation going on here in the United States that we're all kind of dealing with, and we're all kind of on edge. But we're going to give you a little piece from that. We're here to entertain you, talk about the things that you love the most, which is comic books. You're probably locked up in your house right now, reading them, possibly organizing them.
Listening to your guys' podcast last week just reminds me of how quickly this news changes. It's crazy. Because it was like last week you were like, Corona, like they might cancel Planet, and now it's like
everything canceled.
Every life canceled. To be honest, I've been thinking about it a lot. I had a rant before we started this, but I've recovered. I'm a person that has high anxiety. I see a therapist once a week talking about my my fear of death. You guys, Mike D's a germaphobe. Greg, you're a hypochondriac. Caitlin, you bring comfort to the lives of people.
You're the healthiest of all of us.
Mentally. That is not great.
That bar is low.
I just think that...
Because I was just going to ask you for a recommendation for your therapist.
Oh, I highly recommend mine. Highly. He shows me Rick and Morty videos.
He gets you.
Yeah, he does get me. But I think that this is a high anxiety time and a time that we can't control things. And I think that for me, I was thinking about like the moments of life that I can control or the moments that are like really important. And to me, like reading comic books or being part of a fan base and talking about comic books, that's like being in the moment of something that at least provides me comfort and makes me feel okay. So it is therapeutic for me. And I hope that it is for other people listening to this podcast. We hope to make some content while this period is happening. We don't know how long we will be in houses, but the good news is microphones work from anywhere.
Right.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all have home studios, so no matter what, each week we'll be able to bring you an episode. We kind of have a backstock of episodes set up anyway, in just an occasion like this. Mm-hmm. We're to arise.
Yeah, we're doomsday preppers.
Yeah, in the podcast world, we are the doomsday preppers.
And we were like, first and foremost, always have a podcast ready.
I brought home 2 GoPros, 3 video cameras, 2 microphones, and 2 microphone stands.
Document the whole thing.
Well, I just was like, I don't know. If I'm here for that long, got to make some fucking content.
Can I caveat too with like, so we're recording on a Saturday morning, and so by the time this releases Wednesday, things could also be
way worse,
way better.
Yeah.
Who knows what? So if we say anything tone deaf, that's why.
Yeah. At least we're not recording on Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, we would have been a lot happier.
It is literally day to day.
Yeah.
So yeah. So forgive us in that method, I guess.
Yep.
New Mutants, did that get postponed?
Yeah, so a couple announcements. Obviously, we had panels at Planet Comic-Con. That won't be happening. Yeah. They've postponed it. They said they're going to do new dates. They haven't announced those new dates yet, but when they do, we'll let you know. We've been assured through Planet that our panels are still going to hold up, so we will still have a panel when it is rescheduled. Second announcement, the New Mutants premiere with 2 Views movies. Not happening. It got delayed. When that gets redone, we'll let you know.
Did the release of New Mutants itself?
Yeah, everything's getting pushed back.
So, like, are movies even coming out right now?
Bloodshot did.
Oh.
No.
Poor Valiant.
No.
That sucks.
Oh, literally
that
the worst.
sucks.
I heard a number, if you guys want to know what the number was.
Yeah, you got to tell me.
Thursday opener was $1.6 million.
No.
Oh, that might be record-setting.
That's brutal.
That's like only the staff who made it went and saw it.
I hate that.
God.
I just feel so bad. I mean, I was kind of looking forward to seeing it.
I still want to see it.
I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go see it and review it.
We should. I thought we were going to do that anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we got time. I mean, this. Oh god.
Nerds are prepared because we have our white gloves ready.
Yes.
I literally have gloves to go buy something at Walgreens after this.
Do you really?
Well, I'm gonna use because the fucking keypad they make you push the button on it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is the dirtiest thing on earth. But yeah, oh, that's crazy. So everything is getting paused. Comic books are still coming out. You think there's gonna be a shift in digital buys versus physical buys?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
probably. I mean, because eventually, what's the point where comic book shops aren't even open?
What happens to
during this
spec
crisis?
buyers and what happens to, like the people who aren't really in it for the collection, but they're in it to make money? Like, what happens to them? Do we see a decrease in that?
I mean, the situation is one. It could get crazier if publishing limits decrease and somehow some people have like abilities to get comic books to them and then sell in the aftermarket. If people are still wanting that and thinking about that, or
No, if people are unsure too, are they going to be spending that much money on aftermarket comics?
so why did baseball cards go away? Trade carding,
Card trading?
card trading, collecting.
The market was flooded.
Yeah, the market was flooded. There was people realized it was just a normal hobby, and then people realized in the '90s that their old cards could be sold for a lot of money, and then Topps benefited because everybody was buying like the whole sets of cards.
So then there's just too many cards made.
Yeah, so there's like in circulation, there's like millions of Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards, which is like at the time everyone was like, got to get your hands on this. But now you can buy a lot of 100 of them for like a dime on eBay.
Okay. And comic books have actually, that's one area they've succeeded in.
They've kept their ratios down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have certainly not flooded the market. Now, variance might be an issue, but in general, like print runs are sometimes at like 30,000.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, because you just look at the past mistakes of other, mediums, and you go, well, I don't want to do that. So we learned from the card industry to not overdo it.
I hate to be like casual fans and use that terminology.
Filthy casuals.
But I could see more casual people using digital comics. But for me, and I'm sure a lot of people listening, you probably have been buying your books you love for 10, 15 years. And if you're new to comics, you probably get the buzz of putting something new in your bag and board and seeing your collection grow. I just can't imagine not just like pre-ordering that stuff. If I pre-order it through Midtown Comics or wherever, they're going to fill that order. The publishers are going to print those things.
Yeah.
yeah, but
So-
I think like for us especially that we read a lot of independents, we can't get that stuff for cheap to like read in like that week or whatever. Like if you really need to read
like on release day?
yeah,
Yeah, that's a first issue club problem, not a
not a general.
not a general problem. Yeah, I mean it's nice to be part of the conversation immediately with like people online and stuff, but
That's a good point.
probably not a huge deal if you get your comics a week later, right?
Yeah. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say there will be the temptation to go to those sites where they have pirated comic books. Please do not go to those because they hurt creators and the publisher. That's my PSA for the episode.
Yeah. And I think Image is doing all their number ones are like free right now on digital.
That's awesome. I'm surprised that so we have like a DC comic book app and a Marvel comic book app. I'm honestly surprised that Image hasn't done one. You know what I mean?
There is one. There's not a subscription. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like they have like Marvel Unlimited
Yeah.
and DC Unlimited.
Oh, I would read the hell out of an Image subscription. Oh, you know why it is? Is because they don't know how to divide up the money because
Yeah.
they're all
Right.
creator owned.
If a million people read Saga and then one person reads what were those like a toy spinoff comic, it's tough to
Yeah.
break up like membership.
It'd be like Spotify.
Yeah.
They'd have to have some type of collective agreement.
Well, I mean, maybe do that then.
Yeah, I think they could do that. That's the thing I don't in Image is just such an enigma to me because I'm just like, what is even the company? Like, I guess they're probably making like a percentage on the comic books and things like that. But
Yeah.
like, if they say like 100% creator owned, it's like, okay, then
How do you exist?
yeah. I mean, I understand how a business works, so we don't need people tweeting at us being like, well, technically, blah, blah, blah. But it just is.
We get it. Capitalism. Cool.
Yeah. So this is a new dawn. This is different. This is weird. This is a whole new world. And I don't know. Comic books will be read. Movies will not be seen in theaters. Lots of streaming will happen.
And we'll be on top.
Yeah. You guys want to come over to my house to work out?
No.
Why?
What an invitation. You know what? I appreciate that in these end times that you would open your house to us to
Yeah, that's kind.
yeah,
What
get
do
a-
you-
But I'm
get a
bringing
sweat
my
going.
parents, and I don't think did you say you didn't want that?
No, I'm not talking after next week. I'm talking the 3 to 5 weeks after that, where you guys are just sitting in your house and you need somebody to rock your body.
You can shock my glutes.
I'd love to.
You can isolate my pecs.
Now you come
Confuse
over,
my glutes.
You come over.
Confuse them.
Yeah, come over to the Mike Dojo or the Budget King Dojo.
Okay, you've convinced me.
I'll bend you into shape.
Oh,
No thanks.
yeah, Mike really blew out my back.
Oh, we should wrestle.
We've started a new podcast now.
Oh, that would be so great to document our wrestling during the coronavirus.
Well, you brought a bunch of cameras home, didn't you?
Yeah, yep. We take our shirts off.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we took our shirts off. We're all oiled up here, but the cameras are on. Oh man, what's gonna happen?
I'm already on a content shortage.
What?
Like I've exhausted like so many things on Netflix already that I want to watch.
Yeah.
We're getting to that point.
I'm like, I need to buy. Luckily, I haven't gotten Disney Plus yet, so
So you haven't seen any of The Mandalorian?
no. So I'm
Oh
gonna do that.
my
I'm gonna do that
goodness.
this week.
Bloody
In none of
boy.
the new DuckTales?
No, can you believe it?
Oh my god.
How many times are you gonna watch The Rocketeer?
5,
Yeah.
probably 5, and then call it a day on Rocketeer.
All the day.
That'll be one day of Rocketeering.
Flight of the Navigator.
I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna watch Rocketeer 5 times and then skip Flight of the Navigator.
And then cancel your Disney Plus.
Yeah, and then I'm out. Yeah, but sir, you still have 28 days left. You've already
I
paid
know,
for them.
but I've completed this
Nope.
mission.
No,
I'm a fan of Turn of the Century jetpacks.
I've already Rocketeered.
Is there any other comic news? Everything's kind of been
That
put on a pause.
everything's done.
Yeah, everything's canceled.
Everything's done.
Do you feel like being comic book fans kind of made us wise to the changes that were coming a little earlier than some of the general population because of convention season?
Well, and listen, how
Yeah.
many books have we read about dystopian futures? We saw
Right.
this shit coming a mile away.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Impotent leader.
Impotent leader.
Widespreading virus that no one can explain.
Yeah.
I do think our natural connection through this podcast to like outside of this city and like the world in general and not just the news probably made us a little bit more aware.
Yeah.
Like, so, because I just know like general like people, like my wife's parents who like are retired and are a reading teacher, they're still treating this like it's fucking just, walk in the park.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like they literally laughed when they were like, "Hey, are you guys?" They're both over 65, and it's like, "You guys are currently watching our daughter now. Is that?
Yeah.
Are you guys scared? Is that weird?" And they're like, "No, what? No, she won't get sick." Yeah, she won't.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And so yeah, I do think that there's a little bit of that. There's also, and I think we got to caution about. There's a lot of different information out there right now. Especially, I just sat in the parking lot and read like 10 different Twitter accounts all saying different
Yeah.
things and
Totally.
stuff.
Figures.
Yeah, and it's like you gotta check your anxiety. You gotta like stay with the facts. Try to stay healthy. Stay safe, but don't get in your own head about this.
Unlike everyone here on this podcast
Yeah.
has done
I'm saying
probably
that-
a couple times.
I'm saying that for myself. I gotta say things out loud to people to actually internalize them.
Hey, but we have the cleanest surfaces in this room right now.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
It
if you hear clattering, we're squeezing Germex all over the room.
I should have brought my Lysol.
To more fearmonger, I've heard that it may be as much as just like that's just the sniffles to like the most painful respiratory thing you've ever had. Quite a spectrum.
As far as
I
like the
know.
mild conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the symptoms that you're supposed
Yeah.
to feel?
Yeah.
That's why
That's the
everybody's
worst part because I'm always like, oh, I have all of those right now. No, I don't. But still, they're
Don't-
mild enough.
Don't Google it. Just
I've already Googled it.
yeah, I guess that's true.
That's how I know I'm at a higher risk.
Did you watch 4 hours of videos of people who have survived coronavirus? Because I can tell you a lot about what they think.
No, what?
I just got down this loop, and like there's a bunch of like preppers that have Skyped other survivors, and they'll tell their experience of like what it was like to have the virus. So
What is it like?
Greg
They-
wants to know so that he can fabricate all of these things later.
I don't know. It's not worth it.
So, yeah. You don't want a bunch of like virus truther YouTuber information.
I didn't want it. That is one of the problems with content is just like whatever your fucking wildest like anxiety dream is, there is a Google search for that.
And there's somebody worse that's just gonna
Exploit it.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just thinking about it, some psycho's recorded an hour-long video about it already.
Is that another internet rule?
Yeah, right.
If you've thought about it, some psycho's already done a video.
Someone has like a fucking cork board in there.
The one anxiety I did have that's ungoogleable is I accidentally put diesel into my unleaded gas tank.
What?
Your car's toast.
Well, so all of the posts say, "Don't worry, you would never do this because the gas tank, the gas filler doesn't fit into it, so you'd have to literally shoot it in, which wouldn't happen." So,
Is that what you did?
well, no,
Did it fit?
So we have remote start, and my wife did it from our house, and she ran a car out of gas. Well, I was like filling up. I went and got gas, and I was like filling it up. As that was happening, a school bus drove by me and just hands a gas canister out the window, and he goes, "Use it." And so, okay, so I grab it and I start putting it in, and then I give it back to him. He's like, "No, all of it."
What?
So his engine's loud, so I may be missing a couple words there, but that seemed to be the gist of
This
it.
seems more threatening than helpful.
All of it. I want to watch you do it.
Yeah, drink up, car.
Ruin your fucking car.
Look how thirsty you are.
So I use it, and then as I'm pouring it, he goes, "All right, see you later." So leaves me with the gas can. I go ahead and finish, and then I think to myself, buses don't run on unleaded.
Yeah.
Why would this guy have a canister of unleaded? Oh, he also made me smell it to make sure it was gas.
I don't think he was like it was. It probably wasn't diesel.
Yeah. Well, my car is. This happened 3 months ago, but my point is that
Wow, there goes the suspense.
my point is that night that I didn't sleep, it was impossible to Google what to do for if you put a gallon of diesel into your car.
What do you do if you're made to put diesel into your car by gunpoint from a bus driver? Fuck, no results.
So yeah, I'm okay though. See, that's the bottom. That's the learning lesson here is that don't Google it. You're probably going to be okay. And today, we're reading comics.
Yes, let's get into that. I'm tired of talking about Corona.
Same.
Talking about a corona.
So
Can that be the title of this episode?
talking about Corona.
Talking about
Talking
a corona.
About a corona
corona.
makes it funnier to me for some
Yeah.
reason.
So this week we're talking about Cable #1 by Gerry Duggan. Is it Gerry or Gerry?
I thought it was Gerry.
It's a flip of the coin.
Okay. And Phil Noto,
Yep.
which we got that book previewed to us at C2E2.
Yep.
And then we also have Decorum by
Jonathan Hickman.
Jonathan Hickman, and what's the illustrator's name?
Oh, it's like
Huddleston?
Huddleston. Yeah,
It's so good. So I should learn that name.
it blew me away.
Yeah. Can't wait to get into that.
Yeah, is insane. So those are the two. That's on Image. That's a new book that's was making some waves. So I'm really excited to talk about it. So with that, let's
Get this podcast
started.
Is that dry or is that wet?
We're getting into Cable #1 on Marvel. Caitlin, take it away.
All right. So, young man Cable is big man on Krakoa. He's beating up his Uncle Logan and he's getting good with all the ladies. But then he gets caught up in a connection with an otherworldly people who are now unfortunately set out for Krakoa too.
Ooh. Hey, let's spin this for a minute. Our Marvel X-Men aficionados, which Cable is this and what's happening in Krakoa now if you're going to jump into this book?
So this is Young Cable. This is from Extinction, I think. We first saw Young Cable.
Yeah.
And he killed old Cable in that. And with the House of X and Powers of X, he was resurrected, the Young Cable. And yeah, that's what we're going with. So we have a young version of Cable.
It's best to leave that stuff behind and just say, we've got a young Cable.
Yeah.
That's what
And just accept it.
I asked Greg, and he was like, just don't, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the fun stuff to put up front, but it's kind of like the milieu that you have to like swim through, I guess, a little bit to get through it all.
It is.
It starts off though with Wolverine and Young Cable, which I guess is just Cable. So we can stop saying Young. Fighting in like a pit, and then it gives this whole like score sheet of like the Krakoa fights and like who's won, and there's just like this epic story about magic cheated to the point that of like that was an actual cheat. I could have lived in that world the entire comic book.
Yeah, X-Men Fight Club. I could have read a book about that.
Well, you think about like what they would do for recreation or how they would keep their skills sharp, and that's exactly how I could see them doing that, especially where you've got these people that aren't really designed to coexist together, like the people that they're just saying it's for all mutants, so these bad guys can come, whatever. That's a very safe way to let people get those aggressions out, except for maybe what Magic did wasn't so safe.
You also had Calypso winning like 3 in a row. And I was like, fuck yeah, Calypso. I was like, that's cool. It's kind of cool to see like the personality types of the, different characters and imagine them being like, yeah, I'm going to hop in this fight cabal.
And did you see that Nightcrawler and Blink tied?
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Because they both kind of have the same
power. Yeah.
But one of the cuckoos beat the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stat sheet was very fun to read for all of us. It sounded like.
I also like trash talking Wolverine being like, is it your intention to give everyone on the island a marker? Like you're going to lose to everyone essentially.
Shut up.
Yeah. And
That was very fun.
I know they've discussed this like fight scenario thing in other Dawn of X comics leading up to this, so we've got some context or history.
Right.
But it seems like what's at stake is like a favor of some sort. Is that what they're referring to?
Oh, like the
A marker?
ultimate winner gets.
When they say you've given me a marker, that like at some point there's some comeuppance or something for
Something
having
you have to
won.
do.
It's like
Yeah.
The Godfather.
I thought it
Yeah.
was just like a monetary unit used in Krakoa.
Oh, maybe it is.
I thought Krakoa was above money. I thought
That's kind of what I assumed, but
it was like a favor kind of thing.
Okay.
Just like
I need to refresh on that.
Yeah.
That's one of the tough things about this X-Men run right now is that it's already like 8, 9 different comic books, and keeping track of all the little things that they've said so far is tough. That's already hard in any given Jonathan Hickman storyline, which we'll get into in our next segment. But especially with as many different creators as there are, it's been tough for me to keep track of a little bit.
Yeah.
In some ways, it felt like reading 2 Hickman books this time around, even though
It was a Duggan book.
It was a Duggan book because Hickman has made the design of all of these X-Men books to have like all these like stop, explain, diagram
Yeah.
like things or whatever that like all of his like cabal of authors writing X-Men books have also embraced, and it makes the world beautiful and amazing, but also is a very Hickman thing to do.
Yeah.
So famously, one thing that I was thinking about, in the 90s, the first appearance of Cable spec'd like way higher than Deadpool. Like Deadpool was like not even comparable.
Yeah, I wonder what you can get a Cable first appearance for now. That's a good point. People don't lust after this character like they used to in the 90s.
And so yeah, so this switches that around
Yeah.
a little bit. The Deadpool run is like very goofy, but this seems pretty heroic, especially because he's getting this like epic sword that has all of these like destined powers that seems like it's going to have to play into Ten of Swords.
Yeah.
And Rom the Space Knight.
Yes. Oh, I forgot that brings Rom here.
And it's just like, but like, so when I saw that, like they were teasing up, like maybe eventually seeing Rom in this X-Men run or whatever, I was like really confused and just like, what the fuck are we gonna get ourselves into here? And then with the sword situation, it definitely is gonna lead into Ten of Swords,
Yeah.
which we got teased at C2E2.
There's so many things I loved about the sword. One, Cable has always been a huge gun guy.
He's a gun guy.
And so the last thing you expect him to do is have a big sword and love it. And the distinction they made between like new Cable,
Yeah.
we killed the old Cable, we're leaving him behind. Young Cable is like, big swords are my thing now. I'm a different guy.
Guns were the old Cable.
I loved that. And then the mythology and weirdness of that like sci-fi scene you got. So Cable, telekinetic abilities, right? And he gets this like afterglow of the like telekinetic imprint that this sword had on it.
Yep.
And that sci-fi kind of scene was fucking awesome. It was so good.
It was real
Well, and
trippy.
I wonder what that means for if they're going to come to Krakoa and if we're going to be made aware of this alien people
Yeah.
or peoples, like, does that change the dynamic between how humans feel about mutants versus aliens? Or what does that do? Like, that could open up whole new areas of political.
Yeah, I think this puts the fight into space, which is probably what they wanted. They wanted a new bad guy target.
Or it brings space to Krakoa.
Yeah, could do that as well. This book for like a little just kind of character sideshow thing was awesome. It was really fun, especially compared to like Wolverine, which knocked it out of the park. So this is just turning out to be one of the best Marvel like series runs events. I don't even know what you call it anymore because it's just the world
So
of X-Men.
big, yeah.
Like that I've ever been a part of.
Well, and every time I read one of these now, I'm like, oh, these robots in space, is that going to tie into like the whole thing with Nimrod and everything that's going on in the main X series? And,
Right.
So they could all be very intertwined. They could be not intertwined. Like every small detail is worth analyzing, and which makes these very fun to talk about.
Yeah, I would have never thought I would have liked reading X-Men just because it all seemed so convoluted to me before and not very entry level friendly. But this is fun. This has all been fun.
This is one of the first comic book series that's this big where I've been like, this can only take place in this form, in this medium. Because
Sure.
like you couldn't do this in shows because like the rapid release, the expansive like release of it, the fact that that nobody's really able to read all of them, but like seemingly rewarded if you go like dive in and find one thing, is amazing. Like, and it's like truly like revolutionizing the idea of what a comic book publishing like story could be like.
Yeah, taking full advantage of the medium for sure. I that's the sort of stuff I love. Like when you're reading a comic book and you're just like not just the story that's being told, but experientially, I think is what you're getting at, Budget King. That it's so much different than anything that could be done in another medium.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy piloting the whole ship, Jonathan Hickman, is like, this is his This is his bread and butter. He gets to make charts. He gets to make graphs. He gets to make this whole universe essentially is his just creation. And he's just like, not only is he doing that with this X-Men book, but as we find out later in this episode, he's doing the same thing with Decorum. And it's like, what else does this guy do besides create these epic stories?
Yeah.
Does he just wake up, write, and go back to bed?
Yeah, I'm sure his whole house is filled up with those cork boards. Just
He's an
strings
absolute fucking
and
lunatic.
tacks and
It was a surprise hit, this Cable book. I think for all of us. I think we were kind of a little trepidatious going in there.
Do you pronounce the X in the circle of Cable's name?
No.
Okay.
Do you? How would you pronounce it?
K-tendable.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Cable.
Shable.
Caton Bowl. That's almost like my name.
Yeah. K-tendable. Hey, you never know with these guys and how the X's are being used.
That's true. That's true. Just when you get comfortable, they'll flip it on you.
Do you guys think there's anything to be said about Armor and Cable having a
Oh my
moment where they're
goodness.
smooshed together on the ground?
I loved that. And then when she's like leaving, she's like, "Bye, Cable."
I was like, oh, little romance. It's funny just because in my head still, I'm like, this is an old grizzled man in a young man's body. And then I have to keep reminding myself he doesn't have the experiences of old man Cable.
Right,
So
right.
he could very well start a romantic relationship with this other
isn't
young mutant.
Predatoring her.
Well, he's not.
just-
Didn't they kind of
he's
touch
just
on that?
young
Like, he
and-
doesn't have the memories of old
Yeah.
Cable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So maybe some romance.
that would be fun.
I like Armor. She's a fun character.
Yeah.
She is.
I like
the-
how big her armor can get.
Did you guys forget that Krakoa ate a planet full of monsters?
I did.
This was a nice
Or
reminder.
an island, sorry,
An
not
island,
planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That issue of X-Men or X-Force or whichever it happened in, I loved. I thought was so good.
Yeah.
But I completely spaced that even happened.
Well, and didn't somebody else say, like, we're not supposed to do, like, there aren't supposed to be any monsters? Or, like, we're supposed to be taking down these monsters? What was the...
I know there's like certain areas that it's like, don't go there.
Okay.
And I think maybe it's like monsters and mythical things are not crossing this barrier. So, like, let's just chill and coexist in peace for now and take care of it later.
Okay.
Do you think it's weird that technically Deadpool's on an island of monsters as well?
In Staten Island.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Huh.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I kept on
Unless
thinking...
he comes over and has dominion over those monsters.
Well, that's
too.
what I'm thinking is, like, they said that Deadpool's going to make an appearance in this Cable run it somehow. And I'm like, if they stick with current run timeline, they might just, like, plan the two worlds of monsters together.
That'd be sweet.
That's great. I did not catch that parallel.
The War on Monster Island.
Yeah.
I'd read 100 issues of that.
Yeah.
Or to Deadpool's, like, just utter... Maybe he enjoys it, but he has to bring all the monsters from Staten Island over to that island and just live separately from all the
Like
X-Men.
a Noah's Ark
Yeah.
situation.
And that was Katenbul.
He nailed it. Flawless victory.
Next up, we have Decorum out on Image Comics. This is Hickman and Huddleston. This is a really cool comic. Caitlin, I'm just going to say it. It's cool. Caitlin, tell us about Decorum.
Alrighty.
Good luck.
That's a good point.
This is a new world, fairly fleshed out in this first issue, and the art blew me away. So I'll get that out of the way first off. You have the Syndicate Major, the Righteous Guild, and many other factions and people that I'm sure we'll be learning more about in further issues. But for now, we just get this kind of origin story of the world, this kind of Pocahontas-type battle between industrious and tribal factions. And then in the end of all of this, we kind of get a second story. And this deals with an assassin. And I'll just read to close out, because we're going to have to get into this piece by piece, I think. To close out, I'll read what the description I found online was. There are many assassins in the known universe. This is the story of the most well-mannered one. Manners are a sensitive awareness of the feelings of others. If you have that awareness, you have good manners, no matter what knife you use.
I think you nailed it, because this book is in 3 chapters that are 3 different stories. And so that assassin story seems to kind of take the cake as like the main story, specifically because it's like the last one.
It has characters you could actually connect with.
Yeah.
Tonally, the beginning of this I wanted to mention reminded me of Space Odyssey, because when you think about 2001, it's there's that trippy beginning scene with the monkeys and the monolith where you're just like, something important is happening and beginning here.
Yeah.
And it's going to be attached to like a story that is cohesive and easy to follow later. But right now, I'm like not sure what I'm being told and why.
Yeah.
And it goes on for way too long.
I could have looked at that art forever though.
It
Yeah.
was gorgeous.
So we have a whole new space opera here happening. I mean, it's an insane space world
Yeah.
of tons and tons of planets, and the world that we're essentially living in is that sentient robots are dominating and purging the world.
It seems like you guys understood this book a little more than I did. But I that's not to say I didn't love it. I thought it was very cool. But I was also thinking that like with Hickman seeing the success from X-Men and having like done this high concept thing in a more easier to swallow treat packaging, that maybe his next independent comic book would have been a little more mainstream and easy to grab.
To me, this just reads like East of West 2, which is one of my favorite comic books.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think he just has these in him,
Uh-huh.
and he's creating his new East of West.
Yeah.
This must be like when non-X-Men fans read X-Men books.
Sure, that's a good point.
They're just like, what the fuck is all this?
Yeah.
Like when I dove into Decorum, I was like, what the fuck is all this?
Yeah.
It seems like there's a huge backstory that I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
And that I need to read another book before I come in here and read Decorum.
Well, and I'm maybe getting ahead here, but in our last story, that was like the more cohesive action adventure part of this, there is a little weapon or artifact that is just a tiny like shard of a crystal, and it seems like it has some pretty badass powerful properties, and I'm wondering if these things are related.
It seemed almost like Yondu's thing that comes from his head.
Yeah, the little arrow that he
Yeah.
whistles around.
Yes.
One like pull into this comic book that I loved a lot was that it essentially follows the story of a delivery person. And you guys probably caught this, but like her bag that she sticks her product in had a little pizza on it.
Oh, I didn't catch that, actually.
And so it's like kind of a reference to like a pizza delivery person, essentially.
You see, pizza
Like
survives
Futurama?
all.
Yeah. And so exactly like Futurama. And one of the storylines that this was the one I probably gravitated towards most is that there was biowarfare that happened at a period of time, and those that were infected only died if they couldn't afford the treatment, the antidote, or whatever. And if they couldn't, they could get cryogenically frozen. And as long as you can pay that and pay it up and off, you can get them eventually to get to
Unfrozen.
Yeah, unfrozen. So it's basically like a pharma biohazard thing just like drops on this earth, and this pizza delivery lady has to try to do it to save what we think might be her son or somebody, like a kid.
A family
It
member.
does say
Yeah.
that the plague was, so like you said, biopharma, like bioengineered. Is it the same people who made the cryopods?
I didn't say that explicitly.
Okay.
We might come to find out later about like some type of conspiracy.
Yeah.
I think the people who made the antidote probably made the cryo thing. So it's just like, yeah, we have the antidote for this. But if you can't afford it, we also have these cryo chambers where we can freeze you and your family members can pay it off, and then we can unfreeze you when you're paid off.
Right. And their
But
name is Luxor, too.
If
the
you
company
lapse
that-
in payment for the cryogen,
They just let the people
Yep.
expire.
And
Yeah.
then they just get rid of them.
Much like student loans work.
That's fucked up. When I think about that situation, if that were to really happen, like how much people would go into debt just because even if like it's your grandmother, you don't want your grandma to die of something that's potentially curable, right? So you could spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars being wrapped up and on the hook, and I've already spent such an exponential amount of money. Like, why stop now?
I think
If
it's
that happened in reality, that would be fucked up, and it'd be take advantage of people like crazy.
One, I could see it happening.
Yeah.
Two, I think that people would have to reach a point where they just unionize and fucking just uprise and say, nah, this ain't happening. I'm going to say it because we're all thinking it. What if this is the current status that we are in?
We are kind of a rogue world that needs planetary submission, so I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
If
I wouldn't
Trump
mind
comes
a
out
good
with a
cryo
cryopod, Trump cryopods.
Trump cryopods. Trump brand cryopods. Do they say Trump on them?
Yeah. Oh, for
When I get in
They
there,
all
they
have
do.
T's.
Does it say T? Oh, yeah, I have a big T across my face.
Somebody made a good point about Trump yesterday when we were hanging out. They were like, if he wasn't president and in control of everything, just a straight Facebook live stream on him would actually be hilarious.
Yeah. I love that his address to the nation yesterday about something that everyone's afraid of. He took a shot at how bad the Obamacare website was.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be like that. We've got 1,007 engineers at Google. It's going to be a great website. Pause. Unlike some other websites.
Oh my
I was just like,
God.
come on. Like right now? Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now?
He wouldn't miss an
That's
opportunity.
still the thing he's most focused on.
Yeah.
Which should be an alarm to everyone.
You know what he's mad about every day is that he doesn't have Hillary as a villain anymore.
Yeah. Where are your emails now, Donald? We have a million tests. You're not going to need them. You shouldn't want them, but we have them. But you don't need them.
This is nothing. This isn't even the flu.
Mission accomplished. We've beaten it. We've pummeled Corona back to its homeland. And we are the victor.
Back to this comic. I think that this comic had surprise after surprise in some of the best ways that a comic book can deliver. With, I'll just name a handful of them, that the people taking over the country in the beginning are a robot and like a sentient robot. We had that like teased a little bit.
In like a Spaniard get up.
Yeah.
Like he's from the
Right.
New
They
World.
called them the crusade. They called it the Crusades.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of fitting, like Inquisition or how.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And then we find out so many weird things about that world, like they have dinosaurs and things like that. I think the biggest surprise to me was just how badass. There's a woman who's just talking, and you're led to believe like maybe she's another delivery person, and then you find out she's probably the best assassin in the universe.
Yeah.
And just ruthless,
And the
but
fact
also.
that she's an older woman too is amazing.
But she has decorum, and I think is that what the book is named after? Like
The manners
yeah, like her manners.
and how
That's-
they're very
that's clever.
important to her.
And maybe she's the main character, but yeah, like she likes punctuality.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought it was great how she got into the room at the end to like kill the guy because they had to check her for weapons. She didn't have any weapons.
Oh yeah,
But
just have your weapon delivered.
But she had her weapon delivered to her with the delivery girl. Just like, yeah, I'll work around this. I'll have the weapon brought to me. And that thing was a beast. Blew off that dude's arm to the bone.
I think this is going to be a lot of people's like stores pick up, like say, throw this on my list. I want this. I'm pumped about it.
Do you think it's too disconjointed for like a casual reader?
Yes.
I think that there are casual readers who are looking for this type of sci-fi experience
Same
You
though,
think so?
because I
and
thought
adventure.
I felt the same. I think Saga was a little less charty and graphy.
Yeah.
But it definitely felt like there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm gonna have to pay attention to the politics of this thing and who these characters are, because I know they're all gonna be showing up again and having alliances that I will need to understand. So I think in a little way, this reminded me of that.
I do think too the criticism that he's had with other books like this, in some ways, the X books, is that it's better to read it in trade, and I think him giving us this Decorum assassin in the end is going to be him trying to pivot and actually give us a character that we can follow. Like I doubt the next books are going to be chapter 1, 2, and 3. Like
Who knows with Hickman? I mean, he's a fucking wild card.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. It could be. I could definitely see the second issue being like broken into 3 parts, and the first part is a continuation of the first thing we saw. The third part is a continuation of the third thing we saw. I would have benefited from like this being broken out over a few issues.
Or even an issue 0.
Rather than like trying to retain it all in like the first story. But maybe he's a genius in the fact that like he gave us the hook and the intriguing characters that are going to get you to buy the second issue, and all like the tedious back history too that is going to enrich the story. So it's a great first issue in that it's doing a lot and engaging you enough to get you to buy the second one. That's like, we've talked about that before. That's a tough balance with comics, is that sometimes you have to trust creators a lot to keep buying something, just like knowing, hey, it's probably going to get good.
Well, and anytime you give me a map like that, but then it was like Undiscovered Country, where you got to see like maybe 1 or 2 sectors, but you knew there were like more out there by the end of the first issue. This one is so much more. I mean, if you give me a map, I'll pretty much buy the next few just because I want to see what's going on. But this one, it's like you've got tribes, you've got robots, you've got these pyramids, you've got this assassin like city, modern city, and then when the image for the next issue is like the city in the background, but then you've got this weird village, and they're doing like a cowboy duel. Like it just seems like this is a whole. I don't know, but I love stuff like this. It's like The Fifth Element, where you can just get any type of person and any type of cultural influence all together within the same world span.
I just keep wondering if it'd be a more rewarding experience if we would have gotten like a 5-6 issue series about the like native people in the pyramid trapped in their planet, and then like another mini series that blows that out into, there's tons of pyramids all over the place.
I respectfully disagree. I think that I don't want too many books to have to get.
Yeah.
I want it all in one. I like a big fatty number 1, and then I have something to go into number 2. I have so many like interesting questions, but also really compelling characters to dip into.
Yeah.
I want more of each of those sectors. I guess I don't necessarily mind if we jump around a bit and I have to wait a little bit to get more on the tribes, like an issue that just is devoted to the tribes or something like that. If it slowly helps me weave how they're going to fit together.
I think
that's a good point. I guess I don't care about like the order these things happen in, as long as I actually get that context.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to read an essay and then and several charts and graphs and then expected to be an expert who can retain this information for all of the story nuance.
Yeah.
Like 6 issues from now.
No, he's gonna have to do he's gonna have to keep giving us those threads to tie it all. We can't just go off of what we got here.
I think why Hickman is one of my favorite authors is that he is not as much of an author as he is a designer. Like he does design thinking. He's thinking. I mean, think about the artist that he uses, and then like the graphics, his attention to like detail. He's always thinking like backwards design, pulling back and placing things.
Yeah.
He's not like this like you know what he's not? He's not Neil Gaiman, who's just like this prose and like poetic like bullshittery and stuff. Like
wow. Is that kind of shots fired? Bullshittery?
I respect there are some like things like that I like, but like if I had my druthers to choose between the two, I'm obviously going to choose the designer.
I love that you just said if I had my druthers. It distracted me, but I do think you make a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer Hickman over Gaiman, and I like those big, grandiose stories. But I mean, there's Hickman things like Black Monday Murders, where I felt like by the 4th issue, he was still introducing like tons of like dockets and like redacted like paperwork that like informed like what happened last issue and also what's going to happen in like the 7th issue. And I was just like, can we fucking stop with the
It's
amount of information? It's like you're 100% right, and maybe I should resolve to reading his things in trade. But as a monthly break off, fuck, he's tough for me. It's not that I don't love it, but he's just the way I consume comics. Like his writing can be tough for me.
And then there's I don't know if you guys read The Dying and the Dead.
Yes,
which is the same thing, but then like it took forever to publish like a number 5 because these books were so like epic and huge. So then there's like I just don't. Yeah, if somebody's gonna say the one problem with Hickman is that monthly format may not be his style, I will not argue with them on that. That was Decorum, and it was a good comic book, even though if it was big. I'm gonna just end with that. It was good.
It was good, but big.
It was beautiful.
There we
I
go.
will say that.
It
too.
definitely shows the wide range that Huddleston has
Oh man.
as far as artistic ability.
He was flexing like a motherfucker on this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
medium defying. Worth having in your collection just because it's different from
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah.
other comics.
This would be
Absolutely.
one that I would want to see those process sheets, like how you get from
A
point
director's
to-
cut
yeah,
would be amazing.
for
And he
sure.
has them, I'm sure. Greg, what do we do for the closeouts here? What do you want to say to people?
Everything's canceled.
Yeah.
Follow us
Stand
on
by.
socials because we won't be in person anywhere
Yeah.
for a really long time.
That's good. Yeah, we'll leave with that. Yeah. So like Caitlin said, we're not going to be making any appearances in the near future. So if you want to get at us, we're on all the social medias. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Talk to us. What are you reading? What are you liking? What are you not liking? We want to hear about it. We want to talk to you. We are in full quarantine, so we're going to need something to do over these next 14 days. Like we said at the top, Planet postponed. New Mutants movie premiere postponed. When we get new information, we'll let you know. We had a great time with you guys. We talked about a lot. It was a very Hickman and Corona heavy episode. So if you like that, go to iTunes, rate and review. Say, I liked all the Hickman and Corona talk. It was right up my alley, and it was just a sick show. It was really sick. And hit us with that 5 stars.
If you just want us to talk you through this coronavirus too, we can do
We
that.
can talk about a corona.
Yeah, we can. Talk about a corona all day.
If you need a safe space to calm you down and need people to calm you down, we'll do that for you.
Or if you just want to commiserate with all the symptoms that you think you have, we can do a Google search for you.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we'll be your Xanax that you can't afford.
So until next week, be safe out there and wash your hands, everybody.
Bye-bye, babies.